When you look around a room, you automatically assume the objects you see are actually there, exactly as they appear. If you look away, your desk doesn't vanish or suddenly change its shape. Philosophers call this attitude direct realism. It is the belief that the physical world is completely mind-independent, and that our senses act as a transparent window, giving us immediate access to that reality. No one has to teach you to think this way. Every human being is born a naive direct realist, treating our sensory experience and physical reality as the exact same thing. But starting in the mid-20th century, philosophers began applying rigorous logical tests to this everyday assumption. They began to look for cases where our logic and our observations don't align, to see if this window to the world is as clear as we assume it to be. The first challenge comes from a phenomenon called perceptual variation. Think about a standard rectangular table. Direct realists have a specific counterargument to keep their theory of perception intact. To make their defense work, they divide an object's traits into two categories. First, intrinsic properties, belonging to the object itself, and relational properties, which depend on how the object interacts with its environment. Applying this to the glass of water, the pencil's straight shape is an intrinsic property. It holds that shape regardless of who is looking at it. But looking bent is a newly acquired relational property. It is a state created by the specific arrangement of the water, the light bouncing off the glass, and the physical location of the observer. By drawing this distinction, the defense argues you are still seeing the real physical object directly. You are simply perceiving how it appears within a specific set of circumstances. On these terms, the threats of variation and illusion are resolved, allowing us to maintain our direct contact with the external world. But that defense relies on one crucial requirement. For a relational property to exist, there must be a physical object to relate to. This is where the argument from hallucination begins to unravel the theory. Imagine a perfect hallucination. When Macbeth sees a floating dagger, his mental experience is indistinguishable from seeing a real weapon. Perception occurs, but there is no physical metal or handle in the room. The relational defense cannot explain this. You cannot have a relation between a mind and a physical object when the physical object isn't there. This leads to the time lag argument, a challenge popularized by Bertrand Russell. When you look up at a distant star, you are looking at light that has traveled across the vacuum of space. Depending on location, that journey takes millions of years for a photon to reach your eye. Because of this delay, you see the star as it was in the past. By the time light hits your retina, the physical star may no longer exist. We are left with a physical contradiction. We are having a sensory experience of an object that, at this moment, no longer exists. To navigate everyday life, we must act as if our senses are clear windows. But these cases suggest we are actually interacting with representations of a world, images and sounds that are always slightly out of step with the reality they claim to show us.